your darkest hour. We push in the shore, unobeyable. Your only longing was to escape this unjustified crucial lullaby. Sign your soul to sleep. Lost reward history. Instead of this tragedy, lost reward history. Instead of this tragedy.
Wait, let's change just today. Wake, back to what we know. Wait, let's change just today. Wake, back to what we know.
Some more reasons why to live or to die. Checked, way down the unknown. You couldn't escape the beast. You long inside the beast. The world just couldn't get you. This is justified. Perfect lullaby. Song your soul to sleep. Let's rewrite history. Instead of this tragedy, let's rewrite history. Instead of this tragedy.
Wait, let's change just today. Wake,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Uncovering the Underground radio show brought to you by Brutal Business Entertainment and First Angel Media. As always, I'm your host, Skippy Ickham. I'm glad to have you listening tonight. Whether a first-time listener or a repeat listener, I want to welcome you. We have a great show planned for tonight, so stick around and enjoy it. Click the like, share, and follow button, whether listening live or after the fact, because the more that you do that, the more that it moves us up the podcast community rankings, the more people that discover the show. Plus, it keeps you in the loop with what's going on with our upcoming episodes, as well as allows you to look back through our past episodes. So please click those buttons. We bring you our show to iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, and everything in between. But we do host our show through Spreaker.com, so you can check that out at Spreaker or at the Spreaker app on the app market. That not only allows you to listen to the show, but you can actually instant message us during the show, talk to our guests, ask them questions, be a part of it, and we always encourage that. So make sure you do that and enjoy yourselves and just have a good time. We bring you a show each and every Thursday night, 8 to 9:30 p.m., underground artists and everything from bands and hip-hop artists to models to actors and actresses and everything in between. We're always bringing on great personalities, and we have that tonight with our guest, Skies of Terra. Now, before we jump into them in just a moment, I do want to thank our sponsors, Tattooed Scumbag Apparel. You can check them out online at tattooedscumbag.com. Promo code BBE10 will get you 10% off your overall order. They do everything from shirts to beanies, hoodies, sweatpants, socks, you name it. They make it. It's good quality gear. I wear it on stage. I wear it when I'm running to the grocery store. I wear it when I'm laying on the couch. I love it. It supports local Pittsburgh business. And they'll give you a deal. Promo code BBE10, tattooedscumbag.com. We also want to thank Legion Artworks, Roush Designs, R3 Graphics, and 5 Milligram Artworks for all the work that they do for Brutal Business Entertainment, for the radio show, and for myself. And lastly, if you're trying to catch up with everything Brutal Business related, go to teambrutalbusiness.com to get all of your updates of what we're doing right now. Always a lot of things happening over here. Wonderful radio show tonight. Tomorrow, 9 Stitch Method drops their next EP, so you make sure you check that out. Saturday, our artist Demo Demon is doing a live performance from home in his studio that he's been working on, and it's going to be pretty dope. And we have a lot of other content coming up as well, so make sure you check that out. Now I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. Skies of Terra began as an instrumental project back in 2015 by Cletus Polanco, instrumentalist, and Justin Townsend, visual artist. After accumulating several songs to create an album, it was the idea of Justin to add vocals to the songs to create a full concept that would speak to a wider audience. The two continued writing song lyrics and structures with vocalist Chris Bell, who can be heard on songs such as Furious Angels, The Alturist, The Shiver, and Lifestream. And guitarist Liam Fawn, who jumped into the writing process in the song The Alturist, giving an explosion of guitar solo, and released the debut album Lunar on May 18th, 2019. Skies of Terra is Cletus Polanco, Justin Townsend, Chris Bell, and Liam Fawn. Welcome to the show, guys. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for having us.
I'm very impressed with the music that I heard, and have been watching you guys for a little bit of time now, thanks to our friend the Rooster from 9 Stitch Method, as I just mentioned a moment ago. He had kind of brought your guys' up to me a little while back, started checking it out, and was instantly impressed, knew it was something that we had to eventually make happen, and here we are. So thank you for coming on.
No problem.
Hey, thanks, man.
So, joining us tonight, obviously, you guys are in several locations, can't be together as a band because COVID's kind of made things hard to really, even though things have somewhat lifted, it's still strange in the presence of really being able to get together and do the things that we once did. So, for those listening out there, we have 5 different locations, or 4 different locations, I believe, going on right now during this phone call. So, let us know what you think of everything you're hearing, if everything sounds good. And without further ado, I want to jump right into it. I like to start my interviews out very, I guess you could say, old-fashioned. How did you guys begin? Obviously, you started it out as an instrumental project, and it kind of turned and swung a different direction. But why don't you tell us a little bit of the backbone behind that? And Cletus, why don't we start with you?
Okay, well, basically I was using instrumental music as a sort of a way of using therapy, you know. I didn't really intend for any of it to actually get out there. I was just sort of having a little bit of fun with it. But then Justin decided he was like going to make some visuals for some of the stuff. We put it on YouTube. Kind of ran with that for a little. And here we are. I don't know. Everything kind of happened really fast. We actually never expected it to even get to the stage. So it's kind of the cool part about it.
So when you started it out, I mean, obviously it kind of took a different turn for you and it went in a direction you didn't originally anticipate, but did you ever have the notion that it could have happened or that it might happen, or was it totally just an instrumental project that you expected only to ever be that?
I feel like, for lack of a better term, I feel like it was more of like a like a spiritual type of thing.
Okay.
Everything sort of fell together, and it was sort of like, well, let's see what happens. Me and Justin really just wanted to see what happened with the whole thing. We had our day jobs, you know, our lives. So it wasn't something that we had in the forefront all the time. But over time, it sort of ended up becoming more intriguing when he would come over, come up with like a vocal part, and I'd be like, oh man, that's really badass. And it's just sort of puts it in perspective. You can hear what.
Oh no.
More. I was really stubborn. I was really stubborn before I kind of wanted to put out this instrumental stuff that people could just vibe with.
So you were a little hard on yourself, but I mean, I think it turned out pretty well.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Now, Justin, you know, you being there from the beginning as well, what's your take on the beginning of all this? Did you ever expect it to really form into a band and become something that it is now, or did you expect it to just kind of be a fun side thing to release some aggression and write some good music?
Pretty much both. I didn't expect to have, like, I didn't expect it to be where it is now. I mean, we're not further ahead because we pretty much came to a halt because of COVID. But whenever I just first started going over Cletus' place and just like, you know, pushing him to like kind of put lyrics over it, we had no idea it was going to get as far as it did. I mean, we had like 5 shows or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Didn't expect to play any shows whatsoever. We had like the smallest expectations of this project. And like Leah said, we had day jobs, we had other stuff going on, so we kind of took our time with it. But it all started with like a lot of drinking and depression and stuff like that. Like it's pretty much where a lot of the vocal influences kind of came from, at least, and on my end at least.
Okay. No, it makes sense. And I mean, so you guys kind of were working for a while, and then how did, I guess, next in line would have been you, Chris, is that correct? You came along?
Yep. I love the story.
Yeah, so Cletus and I have been friends for quite a while now. He was groomsman in my wedding, and we'd always talked about doing music together, and this was going on for years about me getting on one of his songs doing vocals. And once him and Justin started to get together and they were talking about putting vocals over the tracks and things like that, I started to get a little jealous and a little pissed off. And I was like, listen, you guys better start asking me to do shit or I'm not going to be a part of this damn thing.
That's great.
I told Justin that, and next thing I know, like, Cletus is giving me a call immediately.
Because we were at the bar. And Chris is a big guy. So when Chris gets pissed off, like, you know, you get scared. So I was just like, oh, shit. I was like, hey, Chris, hold on a minute. Watch my beer. I'll be right back. So I left the bar for like maybe 5 minutes. I came back in, and next thing I know, I just see Chris on the phone with Cletus, like, in the back of the bar.
That's great, though. I mean, hey, it works out in mysterious ways. That's the one thing that if you have good intentions and you have positive energy and you're putting out good vibrations, it attracts other good vibrations. So it brings you guys together as a trio, and then you start jamming a little bit more, and then Liam, you came along. Is that correct?
Uh-oh. I think we lost Liam. He looked.
Oh
Oh,
no.
there he is.
Is he there?
Yeah, he's there now.
Liam, can you hear me?
What happened?
I don't know, but
Yes, I
there
can
you
hear.
are.
I'm cutting in and out. Sorry about that.
That's
Yeah,
all right.
so you came along.
All right, I missed the question.
Yeah, so the question was, the three of them got together over time. It started out as the duo, then it turned into the trio, and then it turned into a full band as they picked you up. How all did that come about?
We're all like karaoke buddies, so we talk about music and our influences and the kind of music we want to play. And Cletus came up to me and mentioned that he was writing some music and maybe wanted me to do a solo in a song. So went and checked it out, and I vibed with it, wrote a solo, recorded, and here we are.
And then here we are. No, I love it. So, do you guys all know each other for a long time as the four of you, or did one of you come along that wasn't childhood friends? How did that work as far as the connection between you guys?
Well, Cletus and I, we've been friends for, 12 years now? 12, 13 years, something like that.
Oh wow, yeah.
It's been quite a long time. So I met him through my ex-girlfriend, and whenever her and I broke up, I'm crying in the bar that I can't drink in, and he was just like sitting there and like, dude, we're going to hang out more and all this other stuff, and we ended up hanging out a lot more and talking on AIM because that's how old our friendship is. And whenever I moved out to where I am now, Cletus said that he went to a karaoke bar down the street from my house, and that's where I met Chris. And he sings like an angel, and I'm really jealous of him. And then Liam came along, and he was just cute. He was just so damn adorable.
I'm the outside for sure. I met you guys, 2-3 years ago?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great, though. It all came together really nice. It formed a friendship. It formed a band. I love your guys' music, and we're certainly going to play a little bit of that here in a couple minutes, get things started out. But no, I like the story. I like how it all came about. Now, classically, the next question would be, how did you come up with the name? Where did Skies of Terra come from?
That's from Cletus's fucking mind.
So
I
one
think
of the
this
things
changes
that
every time he explains it. It does. It goes like
There's-
a little bit left or right, Uh-oh.
Well,
There he is.
reasons why I came up with the name, but the main I'll go by this every single time. The main reason why I went with the name was because when I Googled it, it just came, first of all, it came up to me, just popped in my head. So I Googled it. You can't find that anywhere.
And that's
So
money
I
right
was
there.
like-
That's what you need.
That's a start, So now it's like the first thing you Google, and also it was a badass name.
No, it does have a ring to it, and that's you said it. With it not having someone else that has it, that is a huge start, because I think one of the hard things as a new artist, especially a band, is to come up with a name that catches people, that has power behind it, that isn't taken a million times, that you are the only one, and it's very hard to do. And when you do it and you think of a name that you think is pretty dope and it has that good ring to it, it has that power, and you look up and no one has it on Google, you found your name. I mean, that's it right there.
That's about it. I mean, it also fit with like the kind of atmosphere of the music that I was trying to go for. But I mean, it was a huge plus, man. You couldn't go wrong with that.
No, I think it's very marketable.
Yeah, I remember my first band was named Malachi. And shortly after we had named the band and started putting stuff together, I went online and realized there's like 400 rappers just in our area named Malachi. And I was like, crap!
They're like, well, damn it, this just isn't going to work. You know what I mean? And that's the problem, is you're never going to be able, if you have a name that everyone else has. There's people who try to get tricky with it, and they change the letter to like an 8, in it instead of like an O, and crazy shit like that with their logos. It doesn't matter. You still have the same name, and it's not going to be marketable when 7 other people have the same exact name. So you have to go for originality. It's just hard to come across originality anymore. People don't really favor that. So kudos to you guys for coming up with a name and having something, like I said, that I think rings to people. When you say the name, like, hey, you heard that new Skies of Terra? People are like, oh shit, I don't even know who that is, but I want to now. And that's what you
Right.
need as a name. You want that person to say, "Oh fuck yeah, I want to check it out, and I'm gonna remember it." Not, I looked up, Malachi, and 68 fucking people popped up, and you're like, well, then never mind. You don't even care anymore. You hit backspace, and you're done.
Just that dialogue. Whenever you said, "Man, did you hear that new Skies of Terra?" That kind of made my balls tingle.
That's what's up.
In a really good way.
That's what we want. That's what we want to happen. That's what we bring here on Uncovering the Underground, folks. We make balls tingle and lips jiggle. No,
Jingle and lips jingle.
that's
we
it.
We kind of have a little branding thing with it too. Like all of our names on Instagram and stuff, our names are Skies of Justin, Skies of Chris, Skies of
Okay,
Liam,
smart.
Skies of Cletus. So it's like it's something that could be pretty cool for fans that we have one day that change their name, or you could just look at someone and say, "Skies of shut the fuck up,"
That's me.
Yeah.
No, but that's good. It's good to have that tag or that mark that people will follow, that people will reuse and things like that you want them to. It signifies you guys, and that's a smart business move. And that's the thing that bands don't learn usually starting out is they go for the music. They work their ass off on the tunes, but they never really focus on the appearance. They never focus on the promotion and the marketing. They just focus on the music, and that's great. You have great music, but if you're trying to push it and get more shows and do things, that's a big part of it. So marketing yourself is definitely key, and you guys, like I said, have the name. You have the idea with the social media. That's very smart.
Branding.
Branding's everything.
That's what it is.
Now, why don't you guys tell me something I like to ask, and then we'll jump into a little bit of your music. If we weren't catching you doing music right now on a regular day, we just jump into any one of your lives on a regular day and see what your passions are, what it is that you do. Do you fish? Do you hunt? What is it that you guys are into? And we'll start out. I'm going to start out with you, Chris.
Oh crap. Honestly, for me, it's just being around family and friends. I don't have too many hobbies besides like karaoke. I love baseball and football and stuff like that. I love watching new movies and finding out things like that. But yeah, mainly it's just music and family and friends and going out to bars and drinking with friends and things like that. So lead kind of a simple life, and I enjoy it.
No, nothing wrong with that by any means. How about you, Justin?
Probably watching WWE Raw from the year 1998. That's pretty much what I've been doing for at least the past, 10 years of my life.
Okay.
Being with my wife, watching the things that she watches on TV because she keeps the remote and I don't. And pretty much just drinking and going to bars. That's pretty much it.
I like it. We hang out with family, we drink beer, and we make music. There's nothing wrong with any of that.
Yeah, gotta do a shout out to Gator Shakes because they have that saying "beers and breakdowns." So
that's it. That's absolutely it. But you know what? When you said the line about your wife and the remote, I felt that to the subcockles of my soul.
See, you feel my pain.
I feel your pain.
I came home, she's watching. What is it? America's Got Talent or something like that. Like she's watching that, and I'm just like, well, guess I'm watching this.
That's it. That's what you're watching now. So you might as well just sit down and get used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'll sit there and I'll put on the first 48 and I'll watch that for like 18 hours in a row. I have no shame in that.
Okay. I see. So she's forced to watch your stuff. You're forced to watch hers.
No, she just goes upstairs and I turn my shit on.
Yeah, just done. I like it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how about Liam? How about you?
I'm a loser. I just like playing video games, watching hockey. About it.
Okay, we got video games and hockey. All right.
He's a simple man.
Now I got to ask you then, I guess, because you're playing games. Are you a PC guy, an Xbox guy, or a PlayStation guy?
PlayStation.
There. That's what I like to hear. That's the only acceptable answer that I'll take on this show. There is no war against Xbox and PlayStation because there's no war to be had. It's PlayStation all the way.
I agree.
Now, Cletus, how about you, my man?
I'm simple, dude. I like to basically just write random music, play GTA 5 at night when my son goes to bed. And I've actually been watching a lot of Shameless. I don't know if any of you guys watch that, but
A good show.
it's kind of been... It's a little raunchy at times, but it's been piquing my interest for a while, so I don't know.
No,
it's been getting me
good.
away from my life.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's a good show. I watched, me and my wife watched pretty much all the seasons of Shameless a while back. I might have missed the newest one, I can't remember, but it's a pretty good show, man. For years, always surprised me with the depths of depravity that they go to in that show.
Man, their whole lives just spiral out of control, and then they end up being good, and then I'm like, oh wow, that's kind of like me and my friends' lives, just way more intense. So
yeah, it's definitely a roller coaster ride, that's for sure. No, that's great. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, I like to always, get a little bit of the interview in and then let the folks out there hear what it is that you guys do. Now, we have 3 different songs tonight. Which of the 3 would you fellas like us to jump into first?
I mean, I guess let's start at the one that kind of brought us all together first, which was The Altruist. That's like the one. Man, I remember when we recorded that, we were recording it in different parts.
No.
Like my house, and then, I don't know, did I just cut out just now?
You did for a slight bit, but we heard that you recorded certain parts at your house.
Yeah, my house, Justin's house. Liam ended up putting down the solo. It was just a really fun song for all of us to collaborate on, and that's kind of what got our pace going, so I'd probably say that's the one.
Let's get it. All right, folks, you heard it. This is The Altruist, and this is Skies of Terra. We'll be right back on Uncovering the Underground. All right, folks, we are back on Uncovering the Underground, and we are listening to Skies of Terra. That was the Altruist, and they have been hanging out with us for the last half an hour talking about how they came together as a group, who they are a little bit individually, and we're going to dive a lot further into that tonight. If you are just tuning in and you missed the beginning of the show, don't fret. You can certainly listen after the show and rewind back. It'll be streamable and downloadable to your device, but right now is the live segment. So we are here for another hour. You got still quite a bit of interview and talk show to go, a little bit more great music from this Pittsburgh-based band, and we got a lot more to get into, so let's dive into it. Tell us a little bit about that song. And we talked about how this song really brought the group together as a whole. We talked about kind of the structure of it, but why don't you tell us what this song means to you as far as it being that pivotal moment as the beginning of the band, and what feelings you hold with this. And Cletus, I want to start with you on this one, actually.
Okay. So, well, first, I guess, like, the lyrical content, I think, was sort of a back and forth between me and Justin. I wrote a lot of stuff, a lot of lines that he did, some that I did. Like, a lot of stuff got scattered in there, but we ended up with a lot of phrasings about someone who's an altruist, someone who does things for other people first without thinking of themselves. And the song, it's only like a piece of the whole concept for the whole album. It really just touches on the sort of an angry side of the protagonist, if you will.
Okay. No, I dig it. And Justin, you know, just kind of the same. Oh, I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit. I lost you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, there you are.
No, all I was going to say is when we were starting to do the vocal tracks between me, Chris, and Justin, we kind of just winged it, you know. It's like so-and-so would come up with this idea, and we would sort of record a couple different takes and just see what sounded good. But yeah.
Okay, so you kind of did like a little bit of a mesh-up where you weren't certain how exactly it was going to go until you laid down several takes, listened to what worked, what didn't, kind of blended it together and said, oh, that's our song. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, a lot of it, we knew like what the subject matter was going to be more so, and then we sort of just would wing it, see what happens.
Sometimes that's the best way. You don't know how it's going to come together, but it still comes together in one fashion or another. I like to make music that way. You know, structure is great. Having a certain formula that you use to write is awesome, but sometimes when you throw that formula away and you just let it ride, you just let it go, it forms its own. And it can be an amazing thing, and I think you guys have found that, you know, in your music, and I still think that there's a lot more of that to come and crafting of that over time.
Right, absolutely.
Now, Justin, I was going to ask you, because the phone was cutting in and out a little bit there, so you kind of tag-teamed the vocals on this one back and forth with similar ideas, but from opposite people, obviously, and kind of made a mesh-up. How was that writing process for you?
It was pretty easy, to be honest. Whenever we came up with the lyrics and everything like that, I took the meaning of the altars to heart, because that's pretty much the kind of person that I was for a hot while. Like, I would put people before myself, and it would put myself into like a deep depression, because I didn't know how to handle my own problems. I just handled everybody else's problems before that.
Okay.
I think it's something that everybody, at least everybody in the band, I can try and speak for. They feel the same way, or felt the same way, or they did the same thing that I did. So those lyrics kind of like, at least the ones that I wrote, they came naturally, and the ones that we meshed together, and like it just flowed really well. So I found it more simple than other songs that we've written. Sure.
Okay. You know, sometimes they just, you know, that's the great thing about music, is sometimes it comes together so easily. Sometimes it is a bitch to get it together and put it together, but you love them all when they're done and they're finished, and you look back on them, they're like your musical talented children, you know what I mean? Like, you listen to this song, you're like, I created this. And some of them, like I said, you can raise them so easily. Some of them are little hellions, but I mean, they still come together as a great family of music. So that's awesome. I love hearing about people's writing process.
It's getting so big.
Now, what can we expect right now? I mean, obviously, you guys just released your project last year towards the later portion of the year. What is in works right now? I know that you said slowly but surely there is new music being worked on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? And why don't we jump in first with Chris on that one?
Right now, we're just trying to basically bounce ideas off of each other back and forth. The whole COVID thing really messed up a lot of stuff as far as shows that we had going on. That was the kind of stuff we were focusing on, so we kind of went back more into writing. For a while during all this, I had like no creativity coming to me whatsoever because like I wasn't around the band and it was just like there was nothing going on, no juices were flowing. And then we've gotten together a couple of times since then, and I've noticed I could, start writing, more lyrics and things like that. So it's really just stuff that we're making like a foundation of songs and trying to figure out where to go from here and, see what we can just come up with new ideas. We want to progress as a band. We don't want to do the stuff that we already did.
Yeah, you have to have that hunger to want to progress, because if you don't, then you stay very stagnant, and that's okay for a while. If you were happy playing the same exact songs and doing the same exact things over and over and over again, but eventually it'll lose its luster, and then that's usually when bands fall apart. Whereas that growth and that constant pushing for new material is that hunger that you have to have, and it's you feeding that hunger as a band. So as your brothers, you all get to go out there and experience this creation and perform it for people. And whenever you don't care to go beyond what you're already performing and have out now, that's when, like I said, the band starts to fall apart because there's no longer passion in it. So, even though it was a shame to lose the opportunities of the shows that you guys had planned coming up with COVID, it was a great opportunity to refocus you guys on writing and what, is going to be your next project. So that just makes you come back even stronger, because there is no rush. And that's the one thing I think a lot of people don't focus on musically, is we're always in a rush to try to put out more material. It's great to always be working on, but it's okay to take a while with it. Don't let fans dictate where you need to be. And a lot of people do that, like, oh, my fans are telling me I need to put out another CD. They're really on me. Fuck them. Because it's not about them in that sense. You are there to make music for them to enjoy, but you're there to do it on your own time. And fans need to understand that. And sometimes they don't. And it's simply as easy as fuck them. Do
exactly.
I'm about to put that on a shirt. Fuck 'em.
Just fuck them.
Them.
And that's...
Fuck 'em.
And I mean, that's as simple as it is, because too many artists try to rush their music because they feel that they have to put out a product on like some type of time restraint, but meanwhile they're not signed to Roadrunner Records where you have to pump out 3 albums. And I'm just using them as an example. I don't know if that's their contract or not, but you have to pump out these albums in a certain time frame because you are a signed, professional artist. Whenever you are an underground artist, you don't have a deadline except for the ones that you set for yourself.
Exactly. I have for my bills. Some of my lights don't get yeah. Those are mine.
We're definitely a group of people who are trying to fight against most deadlines. Like we like to set a foundation so that we have something that people can listen to and watch and be entertained by. So, we're kind of winging it on that aspect for sure.
It's okay. You gotta let it come together the way that it comes together.
Right.
Now, give me 1 second here. Sorry about that. I was adjusting one of the levels when I was getting some feedback on my end.
You're fine.
I did want to ask Liam. I want to jump around because we haven't got back to you yet. You came in to the band last. Were you expecting were you expecting to be in a band? I never got to ask you that earlier. Were you expecting to be a part of, a project, or were you thinking it was simply going to be I'm adding to a song, and then it turned into this?
Yeah, I had no idea, to be honest. I just did the solo, and they were talking about doing a bunch of shows, and I kind of figured, like, all right.
We're losing them.
Uh-oh.
Maybe.
Oh, it'll come back.
Oh my goodness.
Show.
He's way out. We lost him completely.
Last one for
Yeah.
myself.
He
And
has no clue.
Losing.
Holy shit.
turns out I am. Yeah, that's how it kind of came here.
Well, folks, as I said, it's a little bit difficult tonight because as I said, we do have 4 separate phone calls from 4 different areas going on because of the way things are right now with COVID. We have to do multiple calls. So if you were listening out there and you were confused, it's okay. I'm confused too. We're going to figure it out together. And, obviously the internet can't always work the way that you want it to on these type of calls. We use Skype through our program here, and it usually works great, but sometimes, unfortunately, it does lose internet capabilities or skip out a little bit. So if you're listening out there, we will try our best to work with it. Liam, go ahead and try to say that again if you could.
Yeah, sorry about that. At first, I thought I just recorded one solo for the band, and it would kind of be a side project thing. And shows were announced, and I just kind of figured I would play a solo and be done with it. But I guess we talked with the band, and they wanted me to stay on full board. So, yeah, I guess that's how I became a member. It was a little confusing at first, but I asked you guys on Facebook, and you guys ended up accepting me.
Hey, am I in this band or what, man?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah,
I dig it.
I was like, man, Liam has to be, because he's a shredder, and sort of material. When he started learning some of the material before the first show, it was really quick for him. It was almost like I'd been jamming with this guy for a lot longer. So
there are people out there that can do that to you. That sometimes when you just jam with them, you're like, holy shit, I feel like I've been jamming with this guy for years. There was this guy that played bass that I met one time. I don't even remember his name anymore, but we jammed together. I just had met him in passing, and this dude was incredible. Every song that I played, and I'm shredding on the guitar, and he's right along with me, note for note, and it's like he knew the song before I was even hitting the notes. He was there, and I'm like, wow, this dude's better at my music than I am, and he's never even heard it before.
yeah,
for a
so
band.
there you go.
Yeah, like, hey, man, you want to be my bass player? And he's like, no, and he just disappeared. Never seen him again in my life. I'm like, all right, cool. Phantom bass player, you know what I mean?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's like us. We have a backing track. Like, we have a back working with this whole time. So
we lost a first part that you said you have a backing track, and then I lost you right after that, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we use a bass and drum backing track when we perform live, and getting adjusted to that was hard at first, but we got through it.
It's interesting because we are in new times where that shift has happened. And, bands don't necessarily have to have drums, to the music to work out and be successful. Nine Stitch Method, as mentioned earlier, one of the artists on Brutal Business, do very well in that regard as a two-piece. And when I first seen it, I'm like, what in the fuck am I about to watch right now? What kind of train wreck and nightmare am I about to see in front of me? And these dudes came out and they did very well. And I'm like, okay, wow, I stand corrected. I know when to admit that I'm wrong, and I was. And then that's the night I met them guys. And then it was shortly after that, we started talking, and they ended up joining the family. And it's been a hell of a ride ever since. So, it's just funny how that can work. But as you guys said, you had a different dynamic because there's the 4 of you, and you still don't necessarily have to have the drums or the backtrack. It's something that was always expected, but not necessarily needed.
Yeah, like we've tried to have
Absolutely.
We've tried to grab a bassist and a drummer. We've gone through 2 drummers and probably a bassist and a half, I guess.
Yeah.
because we didn't even really
Yeah.
get the second bassist because he won't. The guy that we're talking to now, he won't join unless we have like a drummer, and we had one drummer that was in line, and it just didn't work out, and we had another drummer in line, and it's just
Drummers
not
are
working out.
difficult.
Yeah, it's just not. It's just not happening. We I don't know. We just settled with the fact that we're probably just going to be a backing track band, and that's fine with me personally. I'm sure it's fine with everybody else.
You know, I would say definitely don't be against it and keep doing what you're doing. But if the opportunity ever places itself that it could line up, at least entertain the idea. You don't have to go that way, but if you find the right drummer, it's phenomenal whenever you can jam and vibe with that drummer. But unfortunately, drummers are insane, and it's very hard to find one that's not. And I mean no hate to any drummers out there, but that's the case. If you're listening and you're a drummer, you're probably fucked up in the head. You know, and I apologize for that, but you probably are. It's pretty much every drummer I've ever met is batshit crazy. And, you know, that's the hard part, is to stay in a band with one that isn't crazy. So, I mean, if you find one, entertain the idea, but be wary.
Oh, we feel that on such a deep level.
Yeah, I feel you.
You know, I had like we had like 8 drummers as our band. Like, I was in a band for years, and we did very well. And throughout those years, I think we literally had like 8 drummers. 8.
Wow. I don't know why it's so difficult to find what you need. I don't understand it. It's so difficult.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I can't complain personally because the way we got together was in such a, like, it had to happen that very specific moment type thing.
Organic.
So I can't really argue. Yeah, organic. It happened very organically. So I feel like to go outside of that formula past this might mean, like, self-destruction or something. I don't know.
I mean,
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
We really weren't even going to be a band. Like, whenever I started putting vocals down, I was just supposed to be featured on one song. And then Cletus was like, well, what about this song? What about this song? What about this song? And I ended up, like, featured on 4 or 5 songs, and the album comes out.
Brag about it.
He doesn't, yeah. Of course I'm going to brag. The album comes out, and there's no, like, features. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, did all this work, and I'm not being featured. And he's like, well, I just figured you'd be a part of the band. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it worked out, though, you know?
At least it was obvious for you.
Liam didn't even know. Liam took, 3 months. It was like, am I a part of the band? It's like, yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
He didn't even know for 3 months. It was great.
That's awesome. You have people just straight up playing in the band, they don't even know they're in it.
Yeah.
Hypnotist. No, I like it. That's an awesome story. So what do you guys, obviously, you know, what is your plan for getting back post COVID? Once things clear up, straight to shows, or are you going to still stay back a little bit and continue to write and record and then just come out with more material? I mean, because everybody's got to kind of figure out at this point, what do we do as musicians once the veil is lifted? Because it's been dormant for so long that there's going to be so many bands going out to play at one time, so many shows, and that's great, but it's going to be fucking chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we haven't, fully got into that discussion yet, but I feel like we want to focus on getting some new material out, maybe some music videos. But if a show comes along that is just too good of an opportunity, then we'll do it. But I don't think we're going to be searching for shows once everything opens back up.
It's probably smart. Take more time, continue to write the music, play here and there if the opportunity is right and it presents itself, and wait it out a little bit until the storm clears. Because, I mean, that's the thing is, I think we're a long way away from everything clearing right now. I don't think it's going to clear up in the next month or two. I think it's going to be lingering around for probably at least a year or more, and people just need to kind of face the fact that that's probably what's going to happen. And it's going to fuck the scene up. It's going to mess a lot of things up, and it's going to be strange when everything starts to kind of trickle back to normal. But I think people should still be kind of a little bit cautious and wait to see how it plays out, because not even the virus itself, but when you unleash a lot of people that have been pent up for months or a year or more, all out at one time, you mix alcohol and live music, you are asking for absolute anarchy. And, you know, I enjoy anarchy as much as the next man, but I mean, I'm getting older now, and I kind of want to step back and just watch it. I don't want to be a part of it. So you know what I mean? So that's something that people need to consider when the time comes that this things start to kind of lift.
I certainly don't want to be a part of those first few mosh pits.
Yeah, I used to love moshing, man. I've broken so many bones in mosh pits over my lifetime, and it's been great, and I've had a lot of really amazing moments. But as you get older, that shot to the ribs hurts now for, you know, a week and a half more, you know, than a day or two when you were a kid. And it's like, all right, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, we're aged.
We're aged. We are old fruit. We're withering quick.
I'm assuming you've broken your own bones and not other people's, right?
I've broken my own several times. Not like me breaking them, but like in the pit, gotten my nose broken, I think twice. Gotten very badly bruised ribs.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, I thought you meant, like, you know, whenever you give that dude that shot to the ribs, like, it hurts your hand for a while. Like, I don't know. Might be the aggressive mosher. I don't know, man. It's like real weird right now. It's awkward.
There's a shift, man. There's a feeling in the air, not just what's going on, not just the media hype, not just everything, but all these elements have made a strange shift in the air, and you can feel it. And I'm not sure if I'm the only one. I don't think I am, but just everything feels a little bit different right now, a little off.
Oh, there's definitely a shift, man. It's like it's like the beginning of, like, I heard that 2020 was like the end of the old and beginning of the new, and I just hope that this is not the permanent new. I just hope that this is like the new for, I don't know, like, just up until next year. That's fine. Just I've come to terms with that. I'm just doing what I can.
I think that's it. I think mostly everybody needs to come to terms to it, because it isn't, like I said, it's going to come in a few different waves, and it's just not going to disappear overnight. So hopefully it does disappear quickly, though, because I think we're all going a little bit nuts. But I think we just need to kind of do what we need to. But I think eventually things will go back. But imagine that. Think of. We're so pumped to move into the future. Let's put the past behind us. And then it happens, and it's like, actually, the past was amazing. Now you must wear a mask and stay inside your house. You're all fucked.
You don't know what you have until it's gone.
And that's it. And then you're like, oh, no, I'm stuck in the future now. I'm trapped. I'm in the machine.
Well, you're stuck on the moon, so I don't want to hear it right now.
I'm social distancing, 6 feet apart.
Yeah, for those who can't see, Liam's Skype background is the moon.
Yeah, I do see the moon right now, folks. If you're not seeing it, we have some video on our end, and we are watching NASA right now. We're watching space and moon and all kinds of wild stuff happening.
Skies of Terra.
That's it. He's being true to it.
Lunar. Skies of Lager.
Now, a question. I like to bring up controversial topics during shows that not so much controversial that it's something that fans could get upset with you on, but controversial in the aspect of kind of a what would you do situation. And we talked briefly about it a few episodes back, and I wanted to jump back into it and phrase it a little bit differently this episode. And if you were to be at a show, and you guys are actually a perfect example to ask because you do use backtracks. So, I mean, you kind of are involved in this element. If you were watching a show and you know that everything that's being performed in front of you is false and they are not performing it, do you call them out on it or don't you? And what I mean by that is if you're standing watching a band and you see the guitar player stop playing completely and the guitars continue to play, and then you start to really pay attention, and you're like, oh, shit, wait a second. Like, nothing is actually being played right now, and it's muted. And it's lip sync, and it's and then the reason I'm asking is this happened recently with a band pre-COVID that I witnessed, and I haven't brought it to light. And you got to ask yourself the question, as a respected figure in the underground music community, do I roast these fuckers and ruin them because that's just bullshit? Or do you let it go and just be the bigger man? So I ask my guests, because I like to get perspective and bring it out to the light with the fans out there, is in a situation like that, do you just walk away respectedly and say, wow, I'll never listen to these guys again, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut? Or do you, at that point, call it out?
So I really want to answer this one. So,
Go for it.
I personally, like, I wouldn't say anything during the performance, quote unquote, but you know, when you have a piece of art that you create and you put out in the world, that's one form of it. When you perform it live, that's like a different aspect to it. You're trying to reconvey that message, and if you are like completely like lip syncing the entire thing and no instruments and there's nothing organic about it, I feel like live aspect, like, why do you have people coming out to see you if you're not actually doing said performance? So I'd probably call them out later on, which, yeah, basically definitely call them out.
Yeah, I think that's bullshit. I would definitely call them out, because us as a backing track band, we worked our asses off to make sure that we were on time with our backing tracks, and it was not easy. So
It's not easy.
for them to go out there and just pretend like they're playing, fuck that.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, like I said, it's pondered me. I've pondered on it, I should say, for the last couple months or so. I guess it's been about a half a year now. It seems like it's only a couple months because I've been trapped in my house for 3 months now. But it was pre-COVID. Like I said, I seen it, never brought it to light. Now it's so far in the past, but I still dwindle on it because I'm like, you know what? The only person that has to be real in a full lineup band that lip syncs is the drummer. The drummer still has to be on, because you can get away with pretending to play the strings. You can get away with lip syncing and covering the song. But if you're drumming on the hi-hat and I'm seeing full drum rolls going on, I'm going to obviously spot that right away. So I mean, you have to be, on point as the drummer. So I give the drummer still credit for being able to play, but I'm like, if you can play that good, why are you playing with a band that's not actually playing? And it blew my mind. I stood in a crowd and I watched 5 guys completely falsify and pretend to do a performance.
Yeah, that would be kind of heartbreaking.
And people were buying their merch.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's
Buying a ticket to try to support the band, and they're not playing what you paid for. Just at least put on a show, and that's just fraud,
Yeah, that's pure cut fraud.
You pay to see.
I mean, because that's one thing, because you have a lot of modern metal and modern rock bands right now who are recording from home or recording from a studio, and that's like your magic take. That's like a movie. You can do a little bit of studio magic in some of those things because it's like you have that one shot. But when you're performing it live, that is, you're reconveying message of bullshit that you created,
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I just don't get the point of it. I mean, I guess it's to have your cake and eat it too. You don't have to put any effort into it, and you can create it in the studio, and you can come out and still sell merch, get the rush of standing in front of a crowd. All that's weird to me, though. Like, I'm going to come and stand in front of you and pretend to be something and soak up the buzz. Why wouldn't I just fucking do it? You know what I mean? But it does happen.
Sounds fun.
It's usually vocals. I've seen that happen, obviously. We've all seen that with famous icons out there lip-syncing songs. But usually it isn't the full band. So when it's the full band, you're like, oh wow, this dude was just doing a straight hammer on the guitar, and it was playing like straight bar chords, like chug chug chug, and you're like, it doesn't even make. I don't understand what's happening right now. Like, bro, you're not even close.
That would give me a headache.
And I watched the crowd fucking rock out to this group, and bought their merch and was loving them. They're getting pictures and all that, and I'm like, what is happening right now? I'm in the fucking Twilight Zone. So. That does happen, and I just was curious. Like I said, I wanted to bring it up to at least one of my artists, and being a band, that's why I've held it the last few weeks, because I've had rappers on, and I wanted to bring it back to a band of what you would do. So I think we kind of got the answer that everybody would call it.
Oh no, I was honestly gonna say, it really depends on if they're sick or something, but it's like, no, fuck that. Just play your fucking guitar, play it right.
Yeah.
Sing your fucking song.
You have one job, just do it.
I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, you're either in it or you're not. That's it.
Can you imagine the pain in the balls of loading your car with your amp, your guitar, your chords, getting in the car, you drive 2.5 hours to a show, you get out, you set up your equipment, you plug in, you pretend to play for 45 minutes, you tear down, put it in your car, drive home, and then how do you go home at night and be like, I'm badass?
I'm a badass bro, dude.
You should have seen the show I pretended to rock tonight. It was sweet.
Jeez.
I think half our conversation about how badly we mess up live, so it's messed up, you know?
I hear you.
Yeah. Shit happens.
Well,
it's not the character. It's not about playing it perfectly.
I guess, yeah. I mean, if you're gonna do it, I guess go all in. I mean, if you're gonna pretend to play music, I guess really try to fool us. But it's crazy, man. I couldn't believe it. At first, I was kind of thrown off, and I'm like, no. You know what I mean?
Trap.
Yeah, like you're looking and you're like, maybe there's some type of strange delay happening right now. And then you catch it like 4 more times and you're like, well, there is no delay pedal. And you're like, so there's a problem. Like something's not right here. And then you're like, oh, well, that's because they're not actually playing.
Yeah, like a live Skype conversation with 4 different locations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the moon.
That's crazy.
This is not happening.
Well, I think looking at the time, I think we need to jump into a second track. What out of the 2 left do we want to jump into? We have Furious Angels and The Great Big Yellow House in the Sky.
I vote for Furious Angels. Get it.
Yeah. Furious Angels.
All right, I think it's unanimous. Let's go ahead and jump into this. Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say that track was the one that won my heart with Chris, because like that dude kills this song.
Thanks, man.
Well, Chris,
And a good one,
we're going to listen to it, and we're going to let you know if you killed it or not. Folks, if you're listening out there, leave us some comments. Let us know what you think. This is Skies of Terra, and this is Furious Angels. We'll be right back on UTU. All right, folks, we're back on Uncovering the Underground, and that song right there was Furious Angels by Skies of Terra. We've been hanging out with them for the last hour and 10 minutes. They are a progressive hard rock and metal band from the Pittsburgh area that we have the pleasure of kicking it with tonight. If you missed the first portion of the episode, after listening to this part, go ahead and rewind back and check it out. Talk to us on the Instant Messenger app through Spreaker.com, Spreaker, or through the Spreaker app. We have a few people tuning in right now. Thank you guys for those that are talking on the live chat right now. We appreciate it. And hit that share button out there, folks. We would appreciate that as well. So,
Yeah.
Furious Angels. Let's hear a little bit about it.
Go for it, Clyde.
Furious Angels is an older song. I wrote that in like 2015, and it was one of the instrumentals, and it used to be called 1957 Plymouth Fury. It was the car that was in the movie Christine.
Yep.
And the song is basically about, it's a breakup song, but it's also like sort of just a song about losing someone in general, or losing, it could be like an old part of yourself, or a family member. And basically when we were working on the lyrical content, I was trying to figure out like how to do like that chorus part that Chris does. And when Chris got into the session, it just sounded perfect when he sang it. So we were putting together some of those parts, and it was just, I don't know, it was a really fun song to work with. It was good closure on my end. The guys and everybody that comes to see us live, like everybody tends to like that song.
Okay. No, it's a good song, so I mean I can understand that. It's like you said, it gave you kind of closure. You know, you finished out those feelings into that song, and it kind of came fruition and came together. So that's awesome.
That's like the song that people who aren't into metal, that are like my friends or family, that's like the song that they really like and like gravitate towards, just because it has like a catchy chorus, and at certain points it's a little lighter. So it's a very easy listening song at certain points.
It's nice to have that and mix that in between the harder elements, because then it captivates everyone, because you have that person that didn't come to see you that's standing in the club. You guys come on and you play a song or two, and just as I'm like, if I wasn't into that type of music, just as I'm about to walk out and have a smoke or something like that, you play a lighter song, and then you're like, oh shit, okay, and then you start listening, you're like, you know what, I'm going to stick around for a little bit. Sometimes that catches some people, and then if it's the opposite side and they don't really like the light stuff, it's only really one song here and there that they have to listen through, that they might not care for the lighter stuff, but most people are going to like it both sides. So it's good to have those songs. I always have made pretty intense music, but I made sure I always threw one that was a little bit more catchy out somewhere in my set that would catch the people who maybe weren't into that.
Yeah, it's definitely like have songs like The Altruist, which are more on the metal side, where Furious Angels, it like touches on sounds like more punk rock or pop rock with a little bit of like progressive elements, a lot of like alternative rock elements. So it was definitely like a favorite for me personally.
No, great track. Like I said, I like all three of the ones you definitely sent me. Some good material.
Thanks, man.
Now, question for you guys as a whole, and this is an important one. If you guys were trapped eating one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? And I mean, and I want to kind of ask that as the band, not necessarily individually. I'd like to hear your answer as the band as a whole, and then individually also. And the reason I say that is my band for years, every city and every town that we went and played, we went and got pizza at a local mom and pop pizza place in that town, and we did it every single place that we ever played ever. And that was our thing. So if you ask us as a band, it would be pizza. Now if you ask me as an individual, would it be pizza? No, but as a group, that's what we did. Now, what do you guys think?
Okay.
Man, that's tough.
I know, we're like so fucking diverse when it comes to food.
I feel like if it was as a band, it would either be pizza or tacos.
I could fucking
Sushi.
Sushi.
Go away. Go away with that.
I'll hate sushi when I die.
Sushi's fire. Pizza
God,
is
you're right.
definitely a strong one. Tacos is my personal one, but I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like those 3 food items, you can get any kind of toppings on them, and it's still a taco or pizza or sushi. So, I don't know. It's a hard one.
Okay, so as a group and as a collective, we're going with one of those 3. I sound like unanimously it was mostly pizza would be that or tacos would be the number 1. I don't think everybody agreed on the sushi, but I'm there with you on the sushi. I'd eat sushi every day, always. I love it.
I'm leaving the band.
But what are we thinking
Dude.
individually, guys? If you had to pick one for yourselves, what would it be?
I think for me, it would be chicken tenders.
Chicken tenders.
I've been obsessed with chicken tenders since I was like 3. And then you got you got every sauce imaginable that you could dip into. You got different flavors every day.
It's
Wonderful.
endless.
I would have to go with
Not wrong.
burritos from Chipotle just because it's non-GMO.
Shut up.
What kind of answer is that shit, bro?
First of all, Chipotle is delicious. I don't want to hear any bullshit from anyone.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, look,
Yeah, but you
dude,
don't
I
give a
can
shit
agree
about
with you.
non-GMO.
Yeah, that's where you got me. You were like, oh, burritos from Chipotle because they're non-GMO. Like, okay.
I wanted to sound healthy for once. Asshole.
Anybody who follows our social media knows how this dude eats a Reese's cup. So,
Justin has the worst food takes in the world.
Don't
Let's
trust
even
him.
get started.
All right. So first of all, hold on. Let me ask you a question.
Oh, here we
all right.
go.
Listen, you shit. All right. So is it Garrett or Jared? How do you pronounce your name?
Garrett.
Okay, Garrett. So, how do you eat your ramen noodles? Do you crush them? Stop it. You guys shut the fuck up. This isn't about you. It's
You
about
know,
me and Garrett.
it's
You crush them
weird. So
shut up.
well,
You
listen,
crush them or do you
it's
make
changed throughout life because as a kid, when I was younger and I used to make ramen all the time, I would break it into chunks and I would throw it in. But as I've gotten older, I don't know. Now I just throw the whole block in there, and I'm like, "Fuck you, block! You just do your own thing. I'm not breaking you. I'm not getting this shit everywhere, all over the floors." Because whenever
and it's because you grew up.
because when you break those things, you throw shit everywhere.
All right. So what about a Hershey bar? Do you break the Hershey bar into pieces, or you just bite into that sumbitch?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
You have to think about it.
I do have to think about it because here's the thing, gentlemen. I don't really like chocolate that much, so it's eating a Hershey bar every now and again. I do, but I think I actually do it all nice. Like I break out a perfect square.
There you go.
I'm all calculated.
So what about the cream of the crop?
Like
How
a
about
gentleman.
Reese's cup.
Yeah,
It depends on it depends on my mood. Most of the time, I just either take a huge bite out or eat the thing whole, like a monster.
No.
But sometimes I eat the middle out like a child, and then I look through it and I make it like an eyeglass, like a pirate,
I used to do that.
Yes.
and then I eat it.
What about with the paper on or the paper off?
Oh, always with it off, man. You eat it with the paper on?
This guy, there's a video. There is a video on our Instagram and Facebook that has Justin Townsend eating a Reese's cup off of the paper like it's supposed to.
Because that's the way you do it.
I don't know. I've never seen anything like it.
That's awesome. You know,
So
here.
you don't get chocolate on your fingers.
It's ridiculous.
Well,
It's
my
great.
wife makes fun of me because I'm a big peanut butter guy. So I don't like just straight chocolate. I will eat like candy bars with chocolate, and I just don't like eating just straight chunks of chocolate. And
Right.
when I eat peanut butter cups, a lot of times I actually will take a knife and put peanut butter on top of the peanut butter cup, and then I eat it. She laughs at it, but I mean, you can't go wrong with peanut butter. You can put peanut butter on anything, and it's fucking delicious.
Sounds amazing.
Oh man,
This
Damn,
man.
that's worse than me.
You got to freeze it
This man
first,
is
though.
a
Freeze it
savant.
and then put the peanut butter on it.
He's a genius, guys.
That's amazing.
If you really want to get
Take
crazy,
notes.
sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon sugar on top of that.
Oh, don't
And
fuck
bam!
Sounds like the beat is right there.
That's it. That'll end your night perfectly. Trust me.
Now, where it's at is making a s'more.
I'm doing that
and
after
adding
this is
peanut
done.
butter to it. Now that's the shit.
You guys are giving me diabetes. Like, you guys need to calm down.
Yeah, no, I do need to calm down, man. I got a major like sweet tooth peanut butter problem. When I was a kid, I'm telling you, if a stranger would have pulled up in the middle of the day and be like, "Hey, kid, I got a puppy. I'm looking for a puppy," and it wouldn't have worked on me. But if you would have pulled up and you're like, "Hey, I got some Jif," done. I'd be gone. Peter Pan. I got some Peter Pan in the trunk. I'd be like, "Let me in there." Shit would have got crazy.
I got some Jif, man.
True, dude. I would have had 5 different families by now just because of peanut butter and chocolate.
Oh, the conversation always goes in strange directions. I never know. So, we agreed that there's a lot of variety of strange foods and strange, eating habits amongst you guys. I've come to realize that now.
Because of Justin, yes.
No, Liam, I haven't heard your choice in food and what it is that you would be snacking out on forever.
Sushi, man. I told you.
Oh, you did? Okay, I heard it. But it sounded like it was coming from someone else, man. The thing's cutting in and out so much at certain points, it's a little tricky.
I'll give you a clear answer. Sushi.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
Fight me. I'll fight you. I'll fight anybody.
Now, are you the only one in the group that eats sushi?
No, I eat sushi.
No, I love sushi, man.
Justin's the only one who doesn't.
No, I don't eat sushi. I would probably end up taking it apart and eating it like one part at a time. You know what I mean? Like just tearing it all apart, eating like
This child.
You're a disgrace.
I eat everything the wrong way, man. You should see how I'm drinking this beer. It's definitely the wrong way.
What I do is I break the bottom off of it and hold it by the neck.
Wait,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
And then
That's
just
exactly
let it all
how he
pour into
drinks
your
it.
mouth.
That's
No,
awesome.
I just put it down my throat, just the whole neck.
Have it all just water fall into your gullet.
Speaking of beers, Garrett, do you have a preference?
Do I have a preference? Oh, that's a tough one, man. I'm a big...
I'm asking you the questions now.
Yeah, I see that. I'm a big IPA guy. I love drinking IPAs. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like regular beer as well, but I do like, Southern Tier. It just depends. It depends on what mood I'm in. I like everything from porters to IPAs, but it just depends on what mood I'm in. Most of the time, you're going to catch me drinking, Southern Tier a lot of times, or Dogfish Head.
Like a double IPA or something.
Double IPA. I don't go much beyond doubles. The triples are a little intense for me, man. It's just too much.
Yeah.
Like, you drink one beer and you're rocked.
Yeah, I'm too weak for that.
Yikes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that stuff tastes way too much.
Man, I'll tell you what.
You
I
ever
was
had the Midas Touch? The Midas Touch by Dogfish Head?
no.
Or Raging Bitch. That's a good one.
Raging Bitch is a good company. We just actually finished up a 12-pack that we had gotten from them. Me and my wife would go to a lot of different breweries and drink beer all over from different places and always buy a lot of different beer. Slowing that down because we're going to start trying for number 2 here in the next couple of weeks. So we're both going to quit drinking for a little while. But we shall return to some great beers after that. But I would say Dogfish Head or a Southern Tier would be my preference.
Nice.
Yeah, fair.
Absolutely. Now, you guys, what is it that if you had all the time that you've ever spent into music, every second, humming a melody, writing lyrics, strumming a guitar, doesn't matter. Every single waking moment that you've ever put into music, back, right now, to put into one other thing, what is it? And Liam, I want to start with you.
Basketball. I could be an NBA player right now.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Steph Curry.
I'm surprised
I
by
didn't,
that.
did not call that.
No, not at all.
That's what I like about it. You just never know which way it's going to go. So we got basketball. I like it. Okay.
That is a tough one. There's a lot of time put into that, like thousands of hours. So I really don't know.
Can you imagine that concept, though? If literally, like, a magical being popped up and said, listen, I'm going to give you all this time back right now, but you were only allowed to spend it on one other thing. So You know, for myself, I've played thousands of hours of guitar, like you said, and to imagine every moment that I spent in my life playing guitar to have to only be allowed to put it to one other thing, that's a very hard question.
I think I have an answer. Cooking.
Cooking?
I can make
okay.
some bomb-ass grilled cheese sandwiches. Ooh.
I would hope if you had thousands of hours, you'd be able to make a hell of a grilled
That's what I'm
cheese.
saying, yeah.
Like you heard about this
thousands of hours of guitar straight into grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese, that's it.
You heard about this
Final
fucking
answer.
Liam guy's grilled cheese sandwiches? It's amazing. He's a fucking prophet of the cheese.
That's named for our next album, Grilled Cheese.
The profits of cheese.
The prophets of cheese. That's awesome. That's the hashtag for the night. Prophets of cheese.
Prophets of cheese.
All right, how about you guys?
I think for me it would be some sort of sport, whether it's baseball or professional wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah. Something, yeah, definitely one of those.
I feel like Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
It would definitely be pro wrestling for me. I've actually looked into like different schools and stuff like that, but I was like, I don't know. My knees hurt. It's like $2,500 I don't have, so no. But yeah, it would definitely be pro wrestling for me.
Okay. And Cletus?
Oh man, that's kind of a hard one for me, but I think I would probably put all of high school career.
I lost you in the first part of that.
I would probably put all of that energy back into restarting my high school career. Like if I could go back in time.
No, that makes sense, man. I've thought that myself. I had a lot of fun in high school. I was a wild.
See, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't. See, we'd be taking opposite paths. I'll trade you, bro. I would go back and love to just really dive into books, really focus on academics, and really have done what I should have done, rather than be the opposite and partied like crazy and was just wild and insane. Everyone knew who I was, and everyone was like, "This dude's nuts." And that's great. It was fun living that. But I look at it now and I'm like, you know what? I would love to have just been that fucking nerd that everybody looked at and laughed, and I'd be like, I'm smarter than all of you.
You have to relive the bullshit again.
It's just crazy to think of.
It's like knowing. It's like kind of one of those things where it's like knowing what you could do and treat every other situation differently from now on. Like every bully doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of how I'd handle that. Like I really didn't care for high school, so I'd try and enjoy it more often, as much as I could.
Yeah, try to find a different way to approach it and live it a little different. And someone fucks with you, crack them in the face with a science book.
Exactly.
It's my method, man. That's what you do. It's like almost like prison. They say when you go to prison, you know, you walk up to your cellmate and just beat the shit out of him, because then people are like, okay, this dude can handle himself. You just do that to the big kid at school. You know, the first time the big kid fucks with you, and don't back down. You just punch him square in the throat. And then the rest of your high school career is killer. Like everybody else after that day is like, yeah, this kid's cool. We like him.
Become the big dog.
Yeah, I don't know. I was misunderstood when I was in high school, so I would make people understand me this time.
No, I feel it. That's it's a crazy question to ponder back on what we do at the time. I don't know what I would do with my time, so I'm copping out and not giving you guys an answer. But I like I said, probably would. I'd probably go back and that, or just spend more time in general on book smart things. Like I love to read. And if I would have had a lot more time in my life back, the thousands of hours I put into music and into all this entertainment side, I would probably just study. I'm very into the occult side, and if I had that time to dig even further and further into it, there's a wormhole of things that are beyond most people's imagination that lie out there. And the more time you have to dig into it, the wilder it gets. And I would love to have all those hours back, but you don't get it back. So it's one of those things you can always think about.
You know what? I'm going to change my answer.
Right, agreed.
I'm going to change my answer. I think I would be a survivalist, just so I could have a TV show to where I could like go to like the edges of the earth and like show people how to live and all that shit, just so I could see as much as the globe as I possibly could.
Oh, like your own.
That'd be pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Can I take my answer as well? The horse wrangler.
Horse
Phantom
wrangler.
horses, you
Oh,
know?
horse wrangler.
It's always been a passion of mine to just wrestle a wild stallion.
Oh, yeah. It's a calling.
Justin, question for you: do you still wipe back to front?
Do I still wipe back to front?
That's what I'm. That's what I'm being asked right now in the
Depends
comments.
on the day. Depends on the day. If it's a clean day, I do front to back. But if it's like a clean day, I go back to front.
Okay, I dig it. Patrick, there's your answer. Patrick jumped in to ask that, so thank you, Patrick.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Hey, beautiful.
Get this boy a baby wipe.
Now, I want to finish this up as we're running out of time here, guys. It always goes by quick, but if you could tell us where, and I already have it in the post that I posted earlier on Facebook, but if you could tell us what platforms we can check you out on, who you guys as a collective would like to thank, and any last statements, and then we're going to finish out with your last song, and we'll wrap it up for the night.
Sweet.
Nice.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, and you just search Skies of Terra, also Bandcamp, and we have CDs and things
iTunes,
like that.
Spotify.
We have a merch shop, Big Cartel. You just search Skies of Terra for all that stuff, and you'll find us.
I mean, I'd personally like to thank Creatures and Creep Rods for giving us our first show. That was a Creatures and
Yes.
Creep Rods thing, right? At the Subalpine.
Sure.
The one
Yeah, it
guy
would be
screwed
out
up.
there, yeah.
And then I would also like to thank Wally from Ignition Point for like introducing us to like different people and showing us what is basically in store for, you know, local music and underground music and everything like that. So shout out to him for sure.
Definitely First Angel Media. They've shown us a lot of love, which has been pretty awesome.
Yeah. Nine Stitch Method, I want to give them such a shout out because they're a backing track band and pretty instrumental in kind of showing me that this band can definitely thrive still.
And Liam, how about yourself?
Thank all the fans for giving us a listen, checking us out. I'd like to thank Jake Morgan. Supporting us through everything, and thanks for checking us out.
We got as much of that as we are going to, folks. If you were listening tonight, please make sure you go out there and check these guys out on all their social media platforms. Hit the like, share, and follow button. Buy their merch. Come out to a show when shows are allowed to happen again. And support a great local Pittsburgh band making great music. Fellas, it was an honor to have you on tonight. I think you guys have a bright future ahead of you, and I will certainly be around to watch it, or hopefully be around to watch it, let's say. And I'll continue to support you guys and what you do, and look forward to everything that you're going to bring out. And we're going to finish it up, folks, with the final track here called "The Great Big Yellow House in the Sky." And once again, Skies of Terra, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, man. We really appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much for having us.
No problem, brothers. Take care.
See ya.
Later.
I feel